Today, I want to talk to you about a federal bill that is so dumb and vague, I'm surprised they even had the idea or even thought that this would be worth their time writing. Let's get into that. But before we do, I got a quick message from our sponsor of this video. It's me. I got social media accounts, I got a Patreon, I got all sorts of stuff that if you want to follow me, keep track of what I'm doing, follow me on Instagram. I got a Twitter that I occasionally tweet passive-aggressive things at our senators and whatnot. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel financially. It helps me keep this going. But today, we're going to be talking about Federal Bill HR7468. There have been many iterations, and there have been many attempts and tries at state levels to end the manufacture of ghost guns. And now typically when I put something in quotes, it's because it's a statement that I think is completely ridiculous, and I don't want people to be commenting down below about how, what is a ghost gun, or a ghost gun doesn't exist, or what's an assault weapon. I'm using the language that the state and the feds and the government is using to define things. I do not agree with the concept of a ghost gun being illegal. I do not agree with assault weapon bans. I'm simply going to inform you about this and why you need to contact some of your representatives, specifically if you live in some of these states where your votes actually matter. Now, for me, if I were to contact Dianne Feinstein, it might not have the most effect, but there might be other people who you can contact if that is not the person that's in control or ruling and voting for you. So let's read some of the text that is concerning. So the title of this bill is, "This act may be cited as," and then in quotes, "Stop Home Manufacture of Ghost Guns Act of 2020. Now, what is a ghost gun? Well, in general, when the government refers to something as a ghost gun, what they mean is a self or a home manufactured firearm. This can be done in a variety of ways, one of which is 3D printing, which is on the up and up and getting a lot of traction lately. Control Pew, Deterrence Dispensed, all sorts of communities are popping up in the design, implementation, and development of 3D printing guns. The Ghost Gunner, I believe it was called, was a small CNC machine that's designed to machine out, AR-15 or AR-10 frames from a stripped block of a 80%er or something like that. I believe they even have some that does 1911 style frames, but I'm not entirely certain on that. Or you can just be a casual gunsmith at home, or anybody with a machine shop and some basic skills, and you could be making a ghost gun. Basically, it's a firearm that is made by someone that is not a federally licensed firearms dealer or manufacturer. It typically means it doesn't have a serial number, although someone can put a serial number or a unique identifying marking on it for themselves if they choose to, which might be a good idea in general if you ever get your firearm that's a home-built ghost gun lost. If you have some sort of unique identifiable marking on it, that could help in the recovery of it, but they're typically going to be without any sort of identifying marks. Now, what is the actual bill going to work on? It says, "It shall be unlawful for any person in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce to transfer or to offer to transfer to any person other than a licensed manufacturer a firearm manufacturing machine." Basically what that's saying is you cannot transfer possession of a machine designed to manufacture firearms to anyone that's not a licensed manufacturer. Basically, if you're not an FFL 02, I think or is it 07? Basically, if you're not the proper type of firearms manufacturer or firearms licensee holder, you cannot actually take possession of these. Now, what is one of those? What is a firearms manufacturing machine? Well, it's two things. A device designed or redesigned, made or remade, and intended to be used primarily to make or convert a product into a frame or receiver for a firearm. So let's break that down as far as what I believe this means. So any device that is either from the factory made to be intended for or redesigned or repurposed to be intended for, used primarily to convert any physical object into a frame or receiver. That's my basic human English understanding of it. This says, if it is a device intended to make a firearm or a frame or a receiver, or it is converted to or repurposed to be intended to make those. Then B, any combination of parts designed or intended for use in making a device described in subparagraph A, which is what I just described, and from which such a device may be readily assembled. So basically what this whole section is saying is that any device that could be used or could be intended to use to make a firearm or a firearm frame is a firearms manufacturing device. Now, here's the problem with this and why I think this bill is just so dumb. I don't think it could pass even if they wanted it to, because technically I'm a gun owner, right? Here's the concern that I think many of us have. I'm a gun owner. I'm generally interested in firearms and potentially the manufacturing of firearms. And for legal reasons, I'm going to say that I'm only interested in doing it legally. But let's say I'm just the average Joe. I'm into guns and I decide to buy a power drill. Does that make me intending to, or it could be used against me as saying, hey, that is a firearms manufacturing machine? If I own a CNC machine and I'm into guns and I'm not an FFL, do I need to become an FFL? If I own a machine shop and I'm not interested in firearms, but I have all the tools, this is a very gray area, because this could essentially, through how it's chosen to be enforced, this could make everything at a hardware store potentially illegal for you to possess. It's another one of those bills that I don't think this can pass. I do urge you to go through the Firearms Policy Coalition. I got a link down below to where you can send off one of those auto-generated emails. And I personally don't think that this can pass based on the broad general unspecificness of it, or the lack of specificity. I could potentially see them trying to ban 3D printers, but really there's so much other use for 3D printers that I don't even know how this would work. This bill, while it seems scary, I think this bill is actually too stupid to pass. And that's not something I say of many bills, because I think that when it comes to stripping gun rights away from people, there is no limit that the Democrats will stop in order to enact these laws. However, I think this one is just a little bit too vague and too dumb as it currently stands. Now, this bill, I believe, was introduced on July 1st, so it's not very old, but we'll see. I'm going to be watching this one carefully. I'm going to hope that you guys do as well, and that you do contact your representatives when it matters and where it matters. But yeah, I'll leave links down below to the Firearms Policy Coalition so you can stay up to date with this. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment down below. Like I said, this video is not sponsored. That was a joke in the beginning, but I do have an Instagram. It's just Reno_May Guns. I have a Twitter. I think it's just Reno May 94. I'm gonna have links down to those down below, or maybe pop up on here, the screen or something. Feel free to interact with me there. I typically answer the most questions on Instagram. If you DM me on Twitter, I'm probably not gonna see it. But if you message me on Instagram, I try to get to as many as possible. Sometimes the questions aren't answerable, or they're questions that if they looked through any of my playlists or any of my videos, they would have the answers for. And a lot of times people ask me questions that I don't even know what the question is. And obviously I can't always respond to every single question like that I get, but I do love interacting with people. If you want to support the channel monetarily, you can through Patreon. I got a Discord as well. The Discord is, there's a $1 tier on the Patreon that if you want to get into the Discord, you can. But there's all sorts of other benefits as well if you would like that as well. I've been rambling. I've been plugging myself too much. I apologize for that, but you guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.